Hello and thanks for joining us on VIP TV today. With us today, two of the men behind Fightzone, who, if you've seen their promotions on social media, you can't not have been impressed by them. Absolutely fantastic, and this is going to be another great boost for British boxing, I'm sure. With us today, their head of operations, Phil Smith, and Jim McMunn, the general manager. Fellas, thanks for coming on to spare us some time on your launch day. It's kind of you, should we say. Phil, we'll start with you. How did this concept come about?
A crazy, wacky idea, and we're all regretting it now, Steve. No, on a serious note, a few guys behind the scenes and some of the funders got together and talked about boxing and how it's sort of platform and exposure around the country and around the world. And, there is a little bit of a bottleneck in the broadcasting of the sport. And unless you're with, Sky or BT previously, to get fighters on TV, that was a really tough challenge, unless, you had a deal that led you through that path. So a few of the promoters in the country all had a bit of a powwow and a conversation and collectively decided that there should be a bit of an open forum for everybody, a bit of an equal platform. And that sort of spurred the idea of how could we get a channel where all the boxers and all the fights and everybody in the country who's trying to ply their trade and get through it, have something to show their talent on. Brilliant.
Jim, I know you obviously from the Box Nation days when you were running the ship there. I think you worked in boxing on Setanta. So what kind of audience are you targeting here, Jim?
Well, to be honest, Steve, I think you can look at Fightzone. You'd almost call it a narrowcaster instead of a broadcaster, because it's that niche market. We know what that market is, and the market is boxing fans, true boxing fans that want to see the fights that previously they haven't been able to see. They might have read about them, but they won't be able to see them. So Fightzone is going to bring the fights from all the promoters around the UK, which is, that's a very big difference from Box Nation, what Box Nation is doing now. This will be peak time British boxing instead of, international boxing, at silly o'clock in the morning. So we're really servicing the boxing fans, the true boxing fans that care about these small shows.
Jim, will there be the occasional overseas card?
We will. We'll certainly, if we can go and get that kind of content and it makes sense for our customers, we'll go and get it. But the focus is very much on the British scene.
Now, I guess from your Box Nation days, if it's going to be, as you call it, silly o'clock, it's got to be worth having for your subscribers, hasn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. And and sometimes to go and get these fights, it's not cost effective. So we might decide, no, we'll just put our money into the British boxing scene and, do another British fight.
Phil, I know from meeting you and chatting to you, you're all over the country meeting promoters, having Zoom meetings. What promoters can you announce now that that Fightzone are going to be working with?
Well, we've done some great deals with guys up and down the country. We've got people like Sam Kinnock up in Scotland, who's doing a great job up there at sort of pushing the sport and looking after a load of great guys up there. Sam was the first one to come on board really and really believe and buy into what we're doing. We've got a lot of time for Sam. You've got more people at the forefront of media like Dennis Hobson in Sheffield, who's got a great little business there with Fight Academy along with Steve Crump. They are signing up a lot of great fighters recently after their winter car park drive-up boxing match that they did, which was just phenomenal and showed true grit, like in the true Hobson style. We've got deals with Kevin Marie over in the Northwest, who's got probably one of the most boxers I've ever seen under one umbrella. Kevin Marie's got a great stable there, and he's now full-time. That's all he does, dedicates all his time to his lads. And then as we move down the country, through Birmingham and into sort of London, we're talking to some guys down there, not fully signed the deals with everybody yet, but we are pushing them across the line. There'll be a couple more announcements on Monday and then another one the following Wednesday. We've not had anybody say no yet, which is great. And everybody wants to do it because we're only offering them a platform and a spotlight. Everything else is theirs. It's their fights, it's their fighters, it's their event, it's their night. And we're a broadcaster. We're saying, you put on your great shows and we'll show everybody what you're doing.
Yeah. And obviously they have the one and only Steve Woods.
Oh, is Steve Woods, is VIP, is he in, Woody, is he?
There you go, that's an exclusive from Jim.
Is the Woodster coming in, is he? When's the Woodster's first show?
He better come in.
We'll see this. I'm sure it'll be sent to his office this in a minute from the put online later on today.
So. Funny thing is, Steve's the one I'm meeting on Monday, so we're doing. It's all sort of in and agreed. But I was trying to stay political and correct there. Yeah, Steve's in. Steve's in.
Brilliant. So when is the first show, Phil?
21st of May is the first one. That's in Sheffield. And we're sort of just putting the final touches on venue and stuff at the moment. That's going to be announced. The back-to-back in Sheffield, I can tell you the first and second one are going to be in Sheffield, close to Sheffield Arena, 21st and the 28th. And then not long after that, we travel around the country. There is a little bit of a hint of an overseas one that we're looking at the moment as well, like you touched on. And like I said, deals with Sam, deals with Kevin and Steve, and we're looking at a couple of events in London already as well. So we're on the move. Unofficially, I can confirm, I can give you a hint that we've got 14 weeks or 17 weeks already planned. That's all done. And 30 weeks are on the table. And I reckon they'll all be confirmed within the next 3 or 4 weeks.
Jim, how did you become involved with that? Because, you've got vast experience around different TV networks around the world. So how did you get brought into Fightzone out of interest?
Well, basically what happened, it was when the ownership of Box Nation was changing and Box Nation went to become part of the Premier Sports package. And the promoters that Phil's been speaking about, who've been talking about forming a channel, approached me about possibly acquiring Box Nation. That didn't happen. And then when they still showed an interest in it, I decided to get involved with them, and we decided that it would be an OTT channel. So rather than a traditional linear channel, on Sky and Virgin like Box Nation was, this would be kind of internet only, delivered over the internet. So that's a big change, and that means that we can make it far more cost effective. It's only $4.99 a month, but it will still have the production values of a Sky or a BT. So when you're watching the boxing on Fightzone, there'll be no difference in the production values as if you were watching it on any of the major broadcasters.
Phil, do you ever envision a time where you might bring, there's a lot of promoters coming under your umbrella, buying into this innovation. Do you ever envisage a time where you all might do a major show together, where you might get a couple world title fights through 7 or 8 promoters putting in something, investment, fighters, whatever? Steve,
have you been listening to our conversations?
No, not at all. No, I'm just saying, it's just, if there's 7, 8 of you and you all get on and you can,
Yeah, no.
The problem we've had before with joint things is people haven't worked together. If you can get 7 or 8 promoters to buy in, and one might have the fighter, some might be able to bring some financial muscle, you could suddenly do something pretty big, down the line. I'm not saying overnight, it's baby steps, obviously.
The whole DNA and the whole ethics of this program and what we've done is about collaboration, about working together and showing that actually collectively there's a lot more that can be done. And I personally think that potentially the sport has been restricted, or certainly certain individuals have been restricted from that by not being able to sort of push their talents forward and show the world what they've got. We're talking today to Ricky Hatton, and he was saying, there are certain fighters he knows right now that have had a great story, and they may not have ever met and got to that championship level or that world title level, but the story that they've had and the journey they've been on is as valuable and as important as anybody else's. But they've never been able to show that. That's gone now. That history's gone, and nobody's recorded it or seen it. So for me, the biggest pull and the biggest buzz for me is working with those fighters, promoters, and managers, finding those individuals who are going to go on a journey and going with them and recording that and being with them every step of the way, no matter where they go. It's actually irrelevant. We're going on that journey.
And Jim, besides the weekly live fight card, which is tremendous value at $4.99, will there be other content on the channel?
Yeah, it's very much so, Steve. We haven't kind of finalised the schedule yet, and we don't have to do a 24-hour schedule.
Yeah, of course you can. Yeah.
With Box Nation. So it will very much be on demand, and we'll be doing magazine shows and preview shows. And also, because we're very much driven by our social media, we'll interact with the customers out there. And what we'll do is have, kind of, if you like, a kind of forum and just the kind of usual fare of just getting the fans involved, you know, and asking them what they want, and then we'll deliver that on the demand.
And
in the olden days, that used to be a suggestion box on someone's desk. We've advanced to digital world now.
Yeah.
yeah. And Phil, for the commentary team, I understand you've got Glenn McCrory involved as well, who's a big name, a respected commentator, and Don McGuinness as the commentator with him. So you've got a very good team there, haven't you?
We have, and there's still a few names to be unveiled. We're working very hardly now. Jim and I are sort of talking to a lot of the people that will make up the fabric of the broadcast. Now we've got everything sort of up and running. We've got everything in place, so we know what we're dealing with. We can start doing the fun stuff now, and that's sort of tinkering around with who does what and what roles certain people have got. I'm really excited to be unveiling a few names in the next 2 weeks about who's going to be working on our broadcast team and who's going to be doing some cameo roles and stuff like that. It's quite exciting.
Yeah, I know you're about to launch, Jim. So how do people go about, you know, subscribing and getting their paying their $4.99 a month to get this incredible product?
Well, basically, as I said, it's all internet and app delivered because it's an over-the-top channel. So you have to go and subscribe on the website, which is www.fightzone.uk.
Brilliant.
And then you'll be able to eventually download the app from the various Android stores and the App Store, the Apple Store.
And Phil, have you got anything to add before we let you go and go and sign up some more promoters today?
No, we just appreciate your time. You know, without people like you, you know, we can't do what we're wanting to do. It's all about everybody from the lighting men, the cameramen, the fans, the guys who sort of training the fight. Everybody's got a place in this program and on this sort of platform. We want to make sure that the message is always out there that this is for everybody. It's not a one-man team. It's not a one-man band. There's nobody sat in on the throne. This is a channel for everybody in boxing.
And I think as well, you know, it's important to say that with all these promoters, Fightzone is very much, what's the phrase? It's the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. You know, it's everybody's going in that one direction to deliver this new product for the boxing fans.
Fellas, thanks very much indeed. Really appreciate your time. And I'm sure I'll join everyone in boxing and wishing you all the best with this venture. It sounds fantastic. It's exciting. And it's for the fans at $5 a month. There's nothing really for guaranteed 4 shows a month for that. It's incredible.
Thanks, Steve. Don't forget, join the revolution.
Cheers, Steve.
For all boxing info, news and latest interviews, amateur and pro, across the north, click and subscribe. VIP Boxing Promotions. Also, Twitter, Instagram and Facebook.